Controversial theatre isn't rare. For some, theatre is pointless if it isn't controversial. However, not many pieces of theatre can spark heated discussion before the show has started in a three-word title like Emma Hall's Ode to Man. "Farewell, men," she says on the cover of the show. Ode to Man is a post-dramatic theatre that discusses and questions the sexuality, masculinity, and expectations of men. Finally threaded into this discussion is a cathartic commentary of personal struggles that, judging by the many shared tears from women post-show, is extremely relatable. Emma Hall's primary weapon in Ode to Man is her dialogue, which draws upon the intermedia devices to constantly engage the audience and to invite them to see past the barrier between performer and audience. This invitation is essential to allow her dialogue to hit home. The theatre space for Hall is a medium for discussion, and while there is no commentary from the audience present, she welcomes their presence as a part of the show. As the essence of Ode to Man is essentially one person's commentary on masculinity, her use of meter provides an additional authority to the play. Emma Hall is observing what it means to be a man, but is perhaps faced with an obstacle due to the lack of a male presence on stage. Frida Chappell and Sheil Kattenbolt in 2006 observe how other media forms can aid against this particular obstacle. In post-dramatic theatre, manipulation of space and time is often accomplished through the other media operating as performers in the performance space. Traces of text-based theatre and more conceptually based post-dramatic theatre becomes a tangible intermedia force operative on the hyper-medial stage. A perfect example of Hall using the media to create additional performers is when the image of a man running at the beach is projected onto the wall behind her. The video eventually pauses on a close-up of the man's overly hairy chest, with a clear view of his swim briefs. While Hall acknowledges the presence of the other performer, her intentional lack of commentary creates a void that allows the audience to come to their own opinions on the image. These choices of inviting internal contribution to the discussion for each audience member is essentially what draws the audience into accepting the space as a panel for discussion. Intersectionality is also woven into the play, into the discussion and text. While the main issue at stake is the topic of masculinity, Hall makes a point about age and sexuality throughout the play. Specifically, the play embraces the fact that it's from the perspective of a straight, single woman at the end of her 20s, and consistently highlights the struggles of a woman in a world dominated by insecure masculinity. In a My Melbourne Arts article in 2017, Emma Hall describes the work as writing about a finite window in a woman's life, when she is wondering about fertility and motherhood and what her options might be. This point of intersectionality creates an amazing effect for the audience as the play consistently hits each audience member hard in very specific and personal ways. Whether audience members are offended or finding catharsis or coming to a new moment of realization, the play inspires passionate personal discussion. Ode to Man's purpose is to act as a medium for discussion regarding sexuality, masculinity, and expectations, and incorporates many post-dramatic techniques to encourage the audience to treat the play less like a piece of theatre and more like a real space filled with real people, the audience. Throughout the play, there is no development of an established plot and no clear progression of character development either. These aspects of the play free the audience from anticipating the future and instead enables them to focus on the present. Hans Thies Lehmann, in his book Post-Dramatic Theatre, points out that post-dramatic theatre fits into the category of post-Brechtian theatre, not because it isn't Brechtian theatre, but because it is influenced by Brechtian theatre and knows it. In line with this, we see clear Brechtian attitudes to theatre in Ode to Man. For example, in a showing of Ode to Man, a handheld projector malfunctioned and the audience could have been none the wiser. In a traditional theatre setting, a performer would instinctively play this coolly and pretend nothing was meant to happen in the first place. Hall is constantly reminding the audience that they are seeing theatre, and instead casually explains that this section was meant to have a handheld projector and that it has in fact malfunctioned. The progression of 15 chapters or sections of the play successfully incites the audience to ask, what does it mean to be a man? Regardless of their opinion on the question, it is made clear in Ode to Man that all opinions are equally relevant to the discussion. During the play, Emma Hall takes direct quotes from men, asking them what they want from love and what it means to be a man. Her choice to provide minimal commentary on these answers is the perfect analogy of her attitude to the purpose of her play. While the play intentionally pushes buttons and shares the personal experience of an individual, ultimately it invites the audience to be responsible for any meaning that can be derived from Ode to Man.